So unfortunately, I appear to be strangely lit today. There's a space in the top of the earth, and if I stand all the way back here, I'm just a tiny person. So I have to stand in the middle, which means that there's some strange lighting, but that doesn't matter. Okay. A comfortable stance. So for a comfortable stance, we're looking at a posture that enables the breath to move freely in the body. And we breathe down into lower dantian, into the abdomen. And actually, within Shineng Qigong, we actually talk about breathing into Ming Men. And Ming Men is on the small of the back. So if you can put the hands on the small of the back, it doesn't matter if it's the back of the hands or the palms. Just connect to the small of the back and allow the breath to travel down towards the small of the back. And when it's there, you may feel that the back moves slightly. You may not, it doesn't overly matter. But you'll probably notice that the breath is different. It's a longer, more natural breath. It's a longer breath. It's a smoother breath. So when we initially stand, we're looking for a posture that the breath travels comfortably into lower dantian. And then where the hands are on the back is probably warmed up a little bit, so move the hands away and breathe to the warm patch on the back. Halfway, the crown is lifted up, which opens the spine. And then we'll come through a series of movements that help us to relax the body, open up space in the body. So the first is mobilizing the neck. So no specific movement here. Mobilizing the neck, creating space between the vertebrae. So you can explore what your range of movement is. Maybe you're drawing circles, maybe you're moving the head from side to side, doesn't matter. Soften the neck. And then shift awareness down the spine into the mid-spine. And here we can draw the shoulder blades together. Squeeze the shoulder blades all the way in. Release them all the way out. Squeeze in. Release out. Squeeze in. And release out. Roll the shoulders. So this releases the shoulder blades. So not only the shoulder blades are moving, but now the shoulders are getting involved. Doesn't matter which direction, whichever way helps you to release the shoulders. And then from shoulders, shift the awareness down into the elbows. So mobilize the elbows as well. Mobilize the wrists, the hands, the fingers, all the way down to the tips of the fingers. So here we're relaxing out from the mid-spine all the way down through the arms to the tips of the fingers. And then allow the fingers to stretch out, allow the arms to open out, and then turn the body to the left and turn to the right. So keep the hips fairly stationary and turn the body one side to the other. So here we're mobilizing lumbar spine. And the hands are tapping into the kidneys. few more times. And then gradually allow that movement to relax, smaller and smaller. And then when you come back to centered, draw the hands up onto the lowest rib and sink down slightly. And here what we're going to do is we're going to circle the tailbone. So the movement should be between the lowest rib and the knee. So we're drawing circles with the tailbone, opening up the hips, creating space in the whole of the pelvic area. And this one, it is worth trying this in both directions, so we'll change direction. And allow the movement to be quite fluid. So there's an idea of swirling tea around the bottom of a bowl. Then allow the body to come back to central. And here we can add an extra little bit. So draw the tailbone all the way forwards and up. Then draw the tailbone down and back and up. So tailbone forwards, tailbone back, forwards and back. Back into the center. Relax the hands to the sides, soften the shoulders off. Shift the weight around the bottom of the feet as you do this. So as you shift the weight around the bottom of the feet, we're allowing the bottom of the feet to relax. We're allowing them to soften. The knees to be mobile, the hips to be mobile, the ankles to be mobile. So allowing the legs to completely relax. And then to help it along, raise the hands up so the palms are facing down, and on the in-breath, as if pushing down into the earth. And the in-breath draws back up to lower dantian. Breathe out, pushing down, expanding out, and gathering in. Expand out. Gather in. Couple more times. Expand out. Gather in. Out. And in. Hands pausing in front of lower dantian, in front of the abdomen. Body is centered and quiet. And then we lift chi up, so traveling up through the spine, creating space between each vertebra, connecting all the way up into the blue sky. Draw blue sky down into lower dantian. So releasing up, creating space, opening, drawing blue sky down inside. Couple more, connecting up, and gathering down. Up, and down. Hands pausing at lower dantian, at the abdomen when we get there. Then we open the elbows, open the wrists, open the arms, so the body expanding out in all directions. Relaxing out, drawing blue sky back inside. Relax out, drawing back in. Relax out. And draw back in. And this time when you draw in, notice the space inside. Notice the breath, the ease of the breath. Notice the space between thoughts. The whole body is relaxed. Qi is flowing well. And the mind can be quiet inside. And gently expand the awareness out into the space immediately around you. Notice the space immediately around you, and as you do, the physical boundaries of the body just slightly blur, moving into a Qi state of awareness. And then expanding this awareness out further, noticing this group of people that we're practicing with. Everyone connected. Everyone supported. Everyone supporting. One Qi field. One Qi field. Then the mind expands out further, this Qi field expands out further into blue sky, where everything is connected. And then gently draw the mind back into the center of your universe, back into lower dente, with the intention of Qi flowing well. When Qi is flowing well, all functions are healthy. So just Qi flowing well. It's a really nice intention for the practice. And release the hands to the sides. And take a moment to stand and breathe into lower dente. The whole body relaxed. Enjoying just standing. And we're going to start with one side. It doesn't matter if it's right or left, but turn the thumb to face forwards. Then turn the thumb to face back. So take your time. Thumb turns forwards. Thumb turns back. Forwards and back. Then this time, when the thumb turns forwards, allow it to continue around a little bit further. And when the thumb turns back, allow it to keep traveling around a little further. So as it moves from one direction to the other, each time it travels a little bit further. And you can allow yourself to cheat slightly, so shifting the weight from one side to the other, maybe turning the body slightly, turning the thumb as far as is comfortable on this side today. Keeping it going, a very smooth movement. The more we relax, the further the thumb goes. Couple more times. Then back to the center, give the arm a bit of a shake, soften the arm off. And then we go to the other side. So the thumb turns forwards, quite a small movement to start with. The thumb turns back. Forwards and back. A smooth movement all the time. Forwards and back. And now start to make the movement slightly bigger. So when it turns a little bit further. And when it returns, it keeps going. And allow yourself to get the rest of the body involved to help that thumb turn smoothly round as far as it will go in each direction. A few more times. Big fluid movement. The more relaxed the body, the further the thumb turns. Then give this side a bit of a shake. Okay, so both thumbs at the same time. Both thumbs turn forwards and the front of the body opens. Both thumbs turn back and the shoulder blades open and the spine opens. Very subtle, quite a small movement. Thumbs forwards, open the front. Thumbs back, open the back. Forwards, open the front. Back, open the back. And allow the movement to gradually get bigger. The thumbs turn a little bit further. And then we can start to exaggerate it a little bit. So as the thumbs turn forwards, we can raise the hands up slightly. As the thumbs turn back, we can bow the body down slightly. And as the movement increases, we can start to align it with the breath. So as the hands rise up, this is an in-breath. As the hands sink down, this is an out-breath. So alternating between the two at the speed of your breath. If you played with animal form Qigong, this is a bit like the white crane form, where the arms turn into wings. So as the wings open, the breath flows in. As the wings close, the breath squeezes out. It's a very good way of opening up the lungs. A couple more times. And then we're going to start to make the movement even bigger, but this time we're going to focus on simply opening the back as we bow the body down. And opening the front as we raise the body up, and now open the arms up. Hold at the front of the body open. Bow down. Hold at the back open. So here we're working with the two central channels, Ren Mai and Du Mai. When Ren Mai and Du Mai open, all of the other channels respond. Everything opens. So here we're working the entire body, up to the tips of the fingers, down to the ends of the toes. Doesn't have to coordinate with the breath. Works with the mind, opening the front and opening the back. And at whatever size works for you. Few more times. And then the next time the hands get up to the top, allow the body to pause, allow the hands to pause, connected up into the blue sky. And the body moving freely. So we're just allowing the back to open and the front to open. Then the hands connect up into blue sky and draw chi down. So draw the hands down, bring the awareness down through all of the bones, so into the top of the neck, then down through the spine, into the mid-spine, into the lumbar spine. Continue down to the tip of the tailbone, up to the hips, down through the legs, through the knees, through the ankles, all the bones in the feet, out to the end of the toes, lift chi up. Draw chi down. Down through the bones, and particularly down through the marrow. And the marrow includes the spinal column and the brain. The marrow is bright and healthy. All the way down the spine, tip of the tailbone, up to the hips, down through the legs. Marrow is bright. Lift chi up. Pour chi down through the marrow, through the spinal column, bright and healthy. All the way down. Chi flowing down. All the way down to the bottom, and one last time, lift chi up. And draw chi down. All the way down, entire body, chi flowing well, down through the legs. Lift chi up, pausing at the top. Body moving freely, and here we're going to draw the feet slightly closer together. So ideally, we're going for this idea that there's a single column of chi connecting down through the legs. But it's okay for the feet to be apart, somewhere that you feel comfortable. And then we're going to bow the body down again, this time keeping legs straight, but working from the top of the spine, one vertebra at a time, releasing forwards, keeping legs straight. And only come down as far as is comfortable. Only come down as far as is comfortable. And then the movement is pressing down gently with the hands on the out breath. 1, 2, and 3. Allow the body to hang with the tailbone lifted up. And then sink the tailbone down. The spine unfurls from the bottom all the way up, connecting up into the blue sky. Hands connecting up as you go. Okay, once more. Bow body down. So rolling the spine down, but very gently, as far as is comfortable. Keeping the legs straight, opening up the spine. It's not a stretch, it's an opening. And then when you're down as far as you can on the out breath, press down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The body hangs down, the tailbone is lifted up. Sink the tailbone down, unfurl the body from the bottom up, one vertebra at a time, rising up, hands connecting up into blue sky. And then this time, gently draw Qi down into upper dantian, the space in the head. Continue down through the neck and the shoulders into middle dantian, the space in the chest. And down into lower dantian, the abdomen. Connecting down through the legs. No need to bend down this time. Lift Qi up. And draw Qi down. Upper dantian, middle dantian, lower dantian. Down through the legs. Once more, lift Qi up. And draw Qi down. Upper dantian, middle dantian, down as far as lower dantian, and pausing at lower dantian. Just take a moment at lower dantian. Then we're going to come into a version of Tai Chi ball. It's the final section of the practice. So open the feet to a comfortable posture. Whatever works for you, soften the knees, relax the body. And then both hands spiral out, gather Qi, and draw Qi back into the abdomen. And as you do, squat down ever so slightly. So the hands spiral out, they gather, and they draw in towards lower dantian. Spiral out, and gather back. A couple more. Out, and back. Out. And back. When it gets back this time, the palms turn to face up and they spiral all the way up. Palms facing up, they connect up into blue sky and pause at the top. Front of the body is open. The thumbs push forwards. Hands spiral out towards the horizon, the palms facing up, we connect out into the far distance. Pause briefly, then the thumbs draw back under the armpits, gather in front of the body, and then Qi rising up through the body. Spirals out into the blue sky, gathers back into lower dantian. Rising up through the body. Spirals out, gathers back. Up, spirals out, and back. A few more times. Most important piece is this Qi rising up through the body. Rising up through the body. Couple more times. rising up. And then the next time it rises up, allow the hands to pause at the very top. Rising up and pause at the top. And then we change direction. So here we draw Qi down through the body, all the way down to lower dantian, to the center of the abdomen. And here push the little fingers back and the hands spiral out and up. Doesn't matter how they get there. Draw Qi down. Most important piece here is draw Qi down. Spiral out and up. Draw Qi down. One more. Draw Qi down. All the way up to the top again and pause at the top. And draw feet together again, so a single column of Qi. And then draw Qi down, a single column of Qi, more subtle, more penetrating, down into lower dantian, spiraling out and up. Draw Qi down. One last time. Out and up. Draw Qi down. Upper dantian. Middle dantian. To lower dantian. Pausing at lower dantian. So the hands are facing lower dantian, but not connecting physically. Taking a moment to just enjoy, full of Qi, but relaxed and effortless. Full of Qi. Qi flowing well. And then to ease out, we'll use the simple easing out where we relax the hands to the sides. They expand out in front and we gather Qi back. So one hand rests on top of the other on the abdomen. Bring the mind back into lower dantian, hands connected to lower dantian, and the mind resting inside. Release the hands. And ease out. Okay. So, should we come and have a chat and see how that was for people? Just change the camera over. Please feel free to unmute yourselves. I won't unmute people specifically. So,
John, can you explain when you say spiral out, what's happening to the arms exactly on a spiral? I feel I need to twist them or something.
Right, okay. There is an accurate way of doing the form, and I can actually, if I demonstrate that on this camera up here, I always think it's good to have some kind of prop. So I've got a little teacup here. So when, I'm going to have to come back a little bit. No, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to kneel. Actually, no, let's try this. So I'm trying to find the right. Here we go. So here, what we're doing, we're allowing the hand to spiral up with the palm still facing upwards. And then at the top, it spirals out with the palm still facing upwards. And then when it comes back, the palm is still facing upwards. So if you find a prop to put in your hand, what happens is that when you do this, it creates a different movement in the shoulder. And it's always good if the prop's something you can grab hold of so that you're not going to drop it.
Right.
Mine's plastic.
Could you do that
So,
again?
Out and back, up, out,
No, I haven't got it.
and back. To be honest, I would say it doesn't matter too much. The most important part is that we have this rising idea, and then if the hands come back down to the sides without the spiraling, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Because what we're looking at initially is this chi rising, and then they can come back down however, and then chi rising. But as you play with the accuracy of the movement, what happens is that this movement here, that starts to have an impact on a number of places. Jianjing, which is the shoulder belt, opens. Everything starts to move more and more of the body. But in the initial stages, just rising, and then the hands can come back.
So do you go under the arm first?
I'm not sure. Let me hang on a sec. I'll do this standing because it's a more natural place for me to do it. So again, so we're here. So yeah, I tend to draw the elbow in.
Up.
And then up. And then the trick here is leading with the thumb. So if you can imagine, something's drawing the thumb all the way around. So the thumb is leading the movement all the time. That can also help. Okay. And then if you reverse the movement, the same is also true. So you can use a cup to reverse the movement. But here the little finger leads.
So basically we go from there to up, straight up.
Yeah. If we look at it within, I'm going to just straighten the camera up a little bit and come back onto the other one. If you look at it from the sort of elemental perspective, so the core of traditional Chinese medicine, there's an idea here that we have the wood aspect that relates to the liver and the gallbladder and things like that, and it also works all the ligaments. So you tend to find that there's a whole range of movements you'll find within Qigong that are about opening the ligaments and opening the tendons.
Yes.
And it's typically done with a twisting motion. So what Tai Chi Ball does is it exaggerates the twist. So you can actually, you know, trying to keep it within shot, you can actually get that movement going, but you can see it becomes very serpentine. And so as you play with it, you'll find that bits open up and bits become freer. But where you are today is perfect. That's where you are today. So don't get too caught up in physical accuracy. Get a sense for the rising chi and the sinking chi, and then start to add in little bits that just tune the form, is the way that I would express that.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a significance, John, in the thumbs forward and backwards in the earlier exercise we did?
Yes, there is, but again, I wouldn't overly emphasize it too much. What happened was when the whole coronavirus hit, there was a lot of stuff going on about the relationship of the lungs to the immune system, and specifically something called Wei Qi. And Wei Qi is the protective layer of Qi that's perceived to be around us. And it's supposed to be very good for the immune system. And the lung meridian terminates in the thumb. So the emphasis into the thumb naturally helps to connect into the lungs. It naturally helps to align with the breath. However, and this is a rather big caveat, this one, I think that the whole perception of the Wei Qi layer as being the answer is rubbish. Okay, if we look at the idea of the Wei Qi layer within the practices of traditional Chinese medicine, what we find is that it's a practice that takes years to evolve. It takes years to develop the Wei Qi layer, because what you're doing is you're getting not only the lungs working well, it's got a lot to do with the spleen, it's got a lot to do with the kidneys. And really, when you look at it, you find that what it's saying is when the body is in balance, everything works well. which is exactly what we all know already.
Yeah.
So the thumbs initially, it's a nice focus, and it's also a distraction. So if somebody has tight shoulders and you ask them to move the shoulder, they will automatically tense up the shoulder, going, that's going to hurt. If you ask them to turn a thumb backwards, they're going to go, oh, how far does the thumb go? They don't think about the shoulder. So it does that. Then when we raise it up to here, it's enhancing the breath. But then when we increase the movement up further and we start to move with Renmai Dumai, the thumbs become irrelevant, because we're opening the whole body and we're working Qi through the whole body.
I just got the sense of opening with the thumbs out and contracting with the thumbs in, and it felt very natural to move them in that way. So I just wondered,
yeah,
in which case there's probably some significance. So thank you. That's answered my question.
Yeah, it was also put in because the conversations I was having, because I was doing some work with the College of Medicine. Well, I still am working with the College of Medicine around this. And there was quite a lot of people who were starting to have breathing issues because of the concerns about an airborne virus, and they were naturally restricting the breath. And again, this movement, you can't help but take a big in-breath, which is actually really healthy. So yeah, there was a number of reasons that's become a core practice over the last couple of 3 months.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay. In that case, what I'd like to do, I'd like to come into the final section of practice. And the final section of practice is a Lachi practice. Now, Lachi is simply expanding out and gathering back. The literal translation is stretching Qi. But this practice is the most powerful practice that exists within the whole of the Zhineng Qigong system. The reason it's so powerful is the way that the mind works with it. So you can explain it in many different ways, but if you've got a part of the body that has restrictions, or has, again, if we're talking about energy, we can talk about blockages. We can use this movement to open that part of the body, to release that part of the body. It's a bit like what we did at the beginning. And then we can bring back either this idea of pure blue sky. We can use an idea of a perfect working version of it. And I can bang on about this for hours, but I'll just tell you one little story. And please excuse me if I've spoken to you about this before. But there was a guy who was coming to me a number of years ago. And I got a phone call from him one day saying, I'm ever so sorry, John, but I tripped over my dog and I broke my hip. And although I wanted to come to you first, I decided to go to the hospital. And I was like, I'm so glad you went to the hospital first. I don't repair bones like that. I said, okay, well, what's the conversation about? And he said, well, basically what they've told me is that I've got to get the blood flow back into the bone. So I've got to get all the capillaries in the bone to start working again so that I can get a good, strong mend. Otherwise, I'm going to need a hip replacement. So I said, okay. He said, can you help me with that? And I was like, yes. So yeah, of course I can. So I went round to see him, and he always had his tablet with him. He always had his little computer with him. So I asked him to get an image on his computer, or on his laptop, on his tablet, of what really healthy blood capillaries looked like under a microscope. And so he found this image, and I said, now what I want you to do is I want you to put that as your background image so it's always there. He sort of looked at me as if to say, okay, fair enough. So now when you expand out, I want you to imagine that is what the inside of that hip looks like. And when you draw back, that's the image in the hip. So you expand out, and it's like putting that part of the body under the microscope, and then you draw back this image of it working perfectly. And he went back to the hospital 2 weeks later, and they were absolutely stunned. They said, we've never seen a bone mend as quickly as this bone is mended. Because he was putting his effort into actually fixing the bone.
Wow.
There are lots of things that I experienced as a Qigong teacher, lots of people talking about the power of that. So if you want to work with a specific, but work with the idea of everything is already healthy. Don't work to try to fix a problem, because then you weirdly bring the problem into the practice. If there's nothing specific you want to work with, just imagine the whole body expanding into blue sky and then bringing blue sky back in. And it's just the most refreshing, healing process that you can go through. And that more generic version is probably the most powerful way to work with it. So any questions before we dive into Lachi?
Have any good shoulder pictures?
Sorry?
Have any good shoulder pictures?
Shoulder pictures. I'd suggest Googling healthy shoulders on that one.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah, it's always interesting what people choose. I was doing some work, again, it was some work around the immune system with the College of Medicine, and I got a number of people there. I got a GP, a couple of people who were highly qualified acupuncturists, and I was asking people, what do you think the immune system looks like? You know, if I said to you, if you wanted to do this on the immune system, what do you want the immune system to look like? And there was this acupuncturist who's been working at a very high level in this country for about 20 years, who turned around and said, it's lots of little soldiers running around in my body fighting off viruses. I was like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. But for her, that was the most useful image. So
It doesn't have to be realistic.
No, it really doesn't have to be realistic. There was a wonderful story about a lady down in Bath whose husband was, he was a consultant in the local hospital, and she had got a cancer diagnosis. And she was working on the idea of lots of tiny little puppies running around inside eating the cancer cells.
Lovely.
And she told the story with great joy about telling her husband, because she knew it would upset him horribly. But she actually got the recovery from doing it. So yeah, it doesn't matter. It's about bringing the focus into creating the change you want.
Does it matter if you do it before? Can you just do it as an isolated exercise, or do you need to do it at the end of a practice or beginning of a practice, or does it matter when?
Sorry, could
I'm just wondering,
you repeat that?
if you were just to do that one exercise, is it okay to do it as an isolated exercise if you've only got 5 minutes, or does it have to be at the end of a practice?
Absolutely, it's good to do it whenever. What we've done already is we've opened up the space. So we've enhanced the potential.
Okay.
But just the open and the close is a very powerful thing. Right, we've only got 5 minutes, so I'm happy to stay and chat afterwards, but let's dive into the practice. Coming back into a comfortable stance. I'll just change the view on this. So back into a comfortable stance. Now for this one, I'm actually going to stand with my feet together. Whatever is comfortable to you. We can talk about that one, but whatever is comfortable to you is the best way to view it. Okay. And we'll start by expanding the arms out. And imagine pushing out. Push, 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 expanding out in all directions. Continue expanding through top of head, through bottom of feet, out in all directions, connecting out into blue sky. Becoming huge. We always create space first, and then we draw chi in. So drawing chi back into lower dantian, into the abdomen. Drawing chi in. And it sort of doesn't matter where you draw into. And then expanding out. Gathering in and expanding out. And we can guide this with sound. So gathering in is her and expanding out is kai. So few more times. Last time. Hands coming back in front of the body and then gently rising up, and this time we'll use the full closing, so the hands connecting up into the blue sky. They open out to the horizon. Arms turn up and then move forwards, the mind expanding out, vast. And then middle fingers connecting back towards center of head, upper dente, full of blue sky. She is abundant. Elbows draw back close to the body, middle fingers connect to the sides of the chest. All functions normal. Everything is healthy. She is abundant. Middle fingers push back into the space behind. Then open out, expanding out and unwinding, expanding forwards. Then gently draw chi back into lower dante. Lower dante, and chi is abundant. And the hands come to rest on lower dante. Huang huang hu hu. Kung kung dan dan. Huang Huang Hu Hu Kung Kung Dang Dang is empty, but not empty. It's full of potential, but relaxed and centered. Relax the hands to the sides. And then to finish the session off in the traditional way, with a joyful exclamation in Chinese. And the exclamation is how. How is good and la is already. So it's how, la, and we do it with the hands up. On the count of 2. 1, 2. How, la. Oh, one more. How, la.
Allah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So please feel free to stay and chat. But please feel free to disappear off if you have other things that you need to do.
Thank you very much. See you
John,
again.
thank you so much. A really,
Yeah.
really helpful session.
Thank
See
you.
everybody next week. Bye.
Bye
Thank
now.
you. Take care.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye,
John.
everyone.
Very helpful.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Sorry I was late.
Oh, no problem.
I just want to say, John, thank you, because I was in a lot of pain before I started the session, and I feel a lot easier and more fluid
Wonderful.
now.